question is, how do I get started with digital real estate, with rank and rent digital real estate? If you're somebody that's been peeping this channel, somebody that just discovered it, or somebody that's literally like, dude, I just want to start, but I don't know the first steps, you need to watch this video, and I'm going to tell you exactly what options you have and the one that I would recommend, okay? So first and foremost, I'm a huge believer in imperfect action. I can't remember the exact phrase, if it's ready, fire, aim, or whatever. Essentially, my whole philosophy on business and life is like, look, if I know that there's an opportunity, I'm going to strike while the iron's hot. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to figure it out later. And it has served me very well. Have I had some L's because of this? Of course, right? You're going to, but you know what? You're also going to have some L's waiting and watching and making sure everything's perfect. So my personal belief is that if you're always ready to just jump, if you're always just going to send it, that net you are going to win. So first and foremost, I'm somebody that believes in imperfect action. That's got me to where I am today. And I think it's a great MO to adopt personally. Now, if you're not that type, that's totally fine. And I haven't always been this type, guys. I used to be the perfectionist. I used to be the person, no kidding, I would do my homework, erase it all, and redo it because the handwriting didn't look good. I was the person where, and this is a true story, this may show you that I have a screw loose. When I was a young boy, just a wee lad, I used to cut the lawn. And if our weed whacker, our trimmer, whatever, was dead, out of gas, whatever, it wasn't dead because we didn't have battery powered, but if it was out of gas or I couldn't get it to start, I would literally take a pair of scissors, guys, a pair of scissors, like just regular paper scissors, and I would trim the entire yard because I couldn't stand it. It had to be perfect. I've come a long way. Anyway, I'm telling you this because the most important thing to do is to start. Okay. And you can sit there and you can wait for it to be perfect. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's the winter and then it's the spring and business owners are going to have too many leads or they're not going to have enough or whatever. And I got this trip coming up. And guys, number one thing is start now. Okay. I want to say, like, above all, that's my number one rule. Start now. If the time is right, I just do it. Okay. Now, number two, there are definitely things that you can do to avoid losing money. There are definitely ways to be smart about this. There are definitely ways to be stupid about this. And what I would then ask you is if you're convinced, and when I say jump when the time is right, what I mean by that is, you know, this is the business model. You know that this business model makes sense. You just feel it within your bones. Like when I heard it the first time, I was like, that is the business model. I'm doing it. And if that's the case, you just need to start. But I'm going to tell you guys, there's a couple ways to go about this, and there are a few questions you need to ask yourself, okay? Number one, if I asked you right now, what is your time worth per hour? What would you say? If we were sitting here and I said, what is your time worth per hour? What would you tell me? Okay? And so do that first. Okay, it's worth this much. Then what I would do is I would go and say, all right, cool. So that, let's take this over the course of a month. If I were to put an entire month, and let's just take the business hours in a regular work week. Let's say there's 40 hours in a work week, right? So 40 hours, 160 hours. How much money is that worth? Okay, so number one, how much is your time worth? That's number one. Number two, do you value your time? Do you actually value your time? Or are you somebody who does not value their time and they would rather go and be the DIY guy? Okay, because there's two ways that you can approach this if you want to get started. You can go and, first of all, you need to get started immediately. But then there's two ways. Number one, you can just go and start, and you can just start making mistakes, and you can start putting up sites and calling business owners, doing all that. That's great. And to be honest, like that's what a lot of people do because they just don't know what else to do. Okay. That's number one. The other person on the other side of the table goes, okay, my time is worth, $100 an hour, roughly. Okay. So 160 hours per month. That's 16,000. I think that's the right math. $16,000 per month. That's what my time's worth. Okay. I think I did the math right. Maybe I'm completely off. Maybe it's 1,600. No, it's 16,000. Anyway, the short of it is, if you're somebody that values your time and you're like, look, how do I do this as quickly as possible? Then what I would do is I would go and I would find somebody that has already done it. And I would say, hey, what's it going to take for you to teach me how to not make the mistakes? How much does it cost for me to use you and learn the lessons that you learned when you went through and spent the money and the time and the effort and lost the sales calls and did this and did that, etc., so that I can avoid that? Because my time's worth a lot of money, and it's not just the money, but it's the time. Because what I've started to realize as I've gotten a little bit older is, guys, seriously, it is the only thing that you cannot get back. And it's wild. And the older that you get, the more that you're like, dude, I can't believe I'm already this old. And I'm only 31, but I'm already thinking like that. So everything I'm doing is like, how can I buy time? How can I buy time? Okay, I want to do this. I want to grow on social media. I want to grow on TikTok. Who's the guy? Who's the girl that can get me there? I want to do Facebook ads. I don't got time to learn all that. I want the blueprint. How do I do that? And I want to buy my time because it's worth so much money to me at this point. Okay. So calculate what your time is worth. Number 2 is, do you value your time? And then the next decision you make is, are you going to go and just figure it out on your own, which you totally can. Guys, there is the internet, there is this thing called YouTube, there's this thing called Google. And if you spend enough hours, you are going to figure stuff out. If you spend enough hours figuring out how to create pens or how to create plastic for water bottles, you are going to figure it out. But the question is, if you calculate and you look at the opportunity cost, is it worth you doing it, or is there a shortcut? Is there a way to condense that time? And you either need to say, hey, I'm going to start now and just learn it and make the mistakes, etc., and not give up. Cool. That's fine. Or I'm going to shortcut it. I'm going to get the blueprint. I'm going to go learn from somebody that's already been there, that's already done it, etc., etc., etc. So those are your 2 options. Number 1, I would say if you're sold on the business model, you need to start. And then you need to say, am I going to start by doing it on my own? Am I going to start by learning from somebody else? Okay. And then the last piece is that if you're going to learn from somebody else, you have got to be careful. You need to ask. And by the way, guys, I'm not sitting here saying I'm the only person that you can learn from. I'm not the only person that knows how to make money doing this. I'm not, okay? I will, however, tell you I'm the only person that teaches rent first, rank later. But that's another story. What I would say is no matter who you choose to work with, no matter who you choose to reach out to, whether it's somebody that, doesn't even do this, doesn't even consult, doesn't even have a program, you need to make sure that that person is legit. And and I'm not talking about they could talk a good game or they can rent, a Lambo or a pool or a house, whatever. No, I'm talking about they've done it. They've made $50, $60, $100,000 a month doing this. Not just 1 month, by the way, multiple months, multiple years. And if that's the case, listen to them. If that's the case, whatever they're doing, that coupled with their case studies, that coupled with their testimonials, that coupled with reaching out to people that have been in their program or their consulting or their mastermind, cool. But you guys, the crazy part that I've seen with doing this is like whenever somebody comes into my free group, for example, like I just had this happen the other day. Somebody came in, some random person that knows how to build websites, supposedly, never saw any websites. They said to me, they sent me a message like, hey, can I sell websites in your group? Nope. You read the rules. Nope. Okay. They somehow snuck a post in, hey, and they twisted the words. They said, I'm looking to partner with a sales assassin. And before I took the post down, I just sat there and went, what's crazy to me is that when they posted this, they got posted, I pulled it down. But as soon as it got posted, there was like 100 people. It wasn't 100, it was like 5. But they jumped on, they're like, oh, message me, right? Without even checking this person, not saying, oh, okay, cool. How many websites have you built? How many websites have you ranked? How long have you been doing this? Do you have any deals? Do you know anything about rank and rent? Do you even make money? Right? Are you outsourcing this to somebody? Are you doing it? Like no questions asked. It's like, yep, I'm doing it because there's an offer and I don't want to put in the hard work. I don't want to build the website, right? So guys, freaking vet out the people you're going to work with. Even if they're offering something free doesn't mean you should take it. Just because somebody is willing to do something for free does not mean you should accept it because it's still a waste of your time. And so you got to consider these factors. So if I've learned nothing else in my 31 years of existence, it's that most people are full of crap. Most of the people out there that are pretending that they're rich are not. Most of the people out there that have these cool cars, they have them on a freaking 72-month payment plan and they barely pass credit. Most of these people that have boats are on it with 4 different partners and it's financed. Most of these people that have the mansion, it's not even theirs. It's just rented for the day. freaking vet this out. There's a reason why if you look in my free group hard enough, you're gonna find my tax returns, because I want people, and when you jump on a call with me, I'm gonna show you my Stripe account. I'm gonna show you my Google ads. I'm gonna say, this is how much I've spent, and not just tell you, I'm gonna show you. Because there's so many people that are full of crap. And guys, if somebody has done this business model, do not pay them a freaking red cent until you can see that they've actually made money. Until they've actually made money. And I'm not talking about $1, I'm not talking about $10 or $1,000 or $10 or $20 or sorry, 10,000 or 20,000. I'm talking about 50, 60, 70, 80, 100,000 for months and months and years and years. That's the only person I would trust. So guys, if you want to get started, you better do it quick. And the first thing is do it now. The second thing is figure out, are you just going to go and make all the mistakes and try to learn it on your own, or are you going to shortcut it? Are you going to get the blueprint from somebody? And then the last thing is, depending on which, if you are going to do the blueprint, make sure whoever you're buying the blueprint from, you're getting the mentorship from, you're getting the coaching from, you're getting the help from, actually knows what they're doing, actually makes money from doing the thing, not just from selling the program. That's all I got, guys.